Before we start this video on blown up models, it's important to make sure that we have enabled iterative calculations. On a PC, you would go to File, Options, Formulas, and make sure this Enable Iterative Calculation box is checked. If it's not, then when you say OK, one, you'll get an error, but two, you'll see circular references down here. If things aren't happening right with your pro forma model and you see circular references down here, it's because you didn't go to File, Options, Formulas, and Enable Iterative Calculation. Unfortunately, that's something you may have to check from time to time. If I were to open a file that did not have that enabled, and then come back to this file and save it, chances are it would pick up that unchecked box, and then the next time I open this file, my iterative calculations would no longer be enabled. Now on to how to fix blown up models. In this video, let's look at some reasons our balance sheet might not balance. By far the most interesting reason would be if I came in here and accidentally typed an error, can't divide by 0, so if I try to undo that, Control Z, that error just propagated through much more of my model. And if I hit F2 and look at that formula, the formula is in fact correct. So I promise every formula in this model is correct, but they have been infected with this error. And so the next 30 seconds of this video will be the most important video you ever see from me, and it shows you how to fix this. The way to fix it is to break that circular reference by copying these cells over here for safekeeping, and then we'll break it by deleting the formulas out of those cells. And now we are no longer infected in our model, we just need to replace these formulas. You could type them in, but it'd be a whole lot easier to come over here and copy and paste. Now obviously cut and paste both directions doesn't work because it just moves where the error is. But if you'll copy, paste, delete, and then delete these out of the way, you should fix it. Let's do that one more time. It's worth practicing. Equals 1 over 0. Get a problem, Control Z to undo, copy, paste, delete, copy, paste. It's the scariest problem you'll ever have with a model, and it's also the very easiest to fix. And in this model, we have three places we have circular references: interest income, interest expense, and depreciation. Let me highlight those so you can get a good look at that. Those are the three things that are circular. And what do I mean by circular? Well, interest income drives net income, which drives eventually the amount of cash we have on the balance sheet, which drives the amount of interest income, and so on and so on and so on. It's a circular reference. Let's look at a more simple example. This is the simplest three-statement model I could come up with. I'm making $1 million in operating profit. I'm earning $53,000 on cash, just taking the interest rate times the average balance of cash, and that gets us to a total net income. And then cash comes from the bottom of the balance sheet, or from the bottom of the cash flow statement, and is our only asset. We have no debt, but we've got a row for it here just in case. And then profit also flows down to retained earnings. That gives us our total liabilities and equities, and the statement of cash flows should ensure that that number matches this number. It does so by starting with our net income, adding in any changes in debt that could have generated some cash, summing those two to give us a total change in cash, adding that to the beginning cash balance, which is the balance we showed on last year's balance statement, and summing those up to get the ending cash. If you'll look at the bigger model, you'll see it does exactly these same things. And then this number ends up populating, or plugging, as we say, the cash on the balance sheet. So here's the problem. If I get an error here, like I type equals 1 over 0, causes an error, it propagates through the model. Pretty impressive, really. But if I want to undo that with Control Z, now I have the correct formula in there again, but I still have the infected cells. So let's copy, paste, delete, copy, paste, and delete if you want, or save those for the next time we blow it up. So I call those blown up models when that happens. Let's think about how the circular reference is working here. I'm starting with interest, It's populating net income, so it's part of net income. And net income drives eventually the ending cash down here on the bottom of the cash flow statement. This number comes to here and gets added down to there. And then this number drives the cash on the balance sheet. So we have this circular reference going on because interest earned on cash looks at the cash on the balance sheet. As long as this circle is going on, if any one of these gets an error, so I think we did it with interest. Let me see if I can turn that red. If this one becomes an error, then everything following it is going to become an error. And these errors just continue to propagate. Even if we fix the formula, the interest formula may be correct, but the number feeding into it is still an error. So the way we'll fix that is we'll take this one completely out, and then this one is no longer looking at an error, and this one's no longer looking at an error, and this one's no longer looking at an error. And then when we put this one back, it's no longer looking at an error. So that's how we fix this. One last time, just because it's so much fun. We put the error in, it propagates, we undo, we still have the error. We copy, paste, delete, copy, paste, delete. And that's how we fix a blown up model. Let's try it on the depreciation line. Equal 1 over 0. Undo. Got all the correct formulas, but still have infected model. Copy, paste, delete, copy, paste, delete. But look, those errors found their way into the interest income. So copy, paste, delete, copy, paste, delete. Sometimes we get our model so infected that we can't fix it one line at a time. I don't think I can do that in the video. I couldn't do it by practicing, but let's say we did, and doing it one at a time like I just did didn't fix it. Let's do both lines or all three at the same time. Let's say copy, paste, copy, paste, delete, delete, copy, paste, copy, paste. Then we can delete those. You may not ever need to refer back to this video, but if you do, just remember the simple steps we walked through and it should fix your problems in no time.